Operation Breadbasket has been a unique and quite a successful program. In Chicago, we found that while white-owned and white-managed businesses flourished in the Negro community, they returned little to the very people they supposedly served, their customers. Instead, the profits of these enterprises were siphoned off to accounts in the large white financial institutions, and the best salaries were carried home to the closed white communities.
Hi, my name is Hermene Hartman, and today we are at what is now Rainbow Push, but we're going to do some history. We're going to talk about how we got to Rainbow Push. We're with our founder, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and we're with Mickey Warren, who was very much a part of Breadbasket in the early days, and Betty Magness, and I'm going to have some input too. Reverend Jackson.
Yes, ma'am.
So Breadbasket started while you were a grad student at Chicago Theological Seminary. Tell me about those days.
Dr. King wanted to bring women north from Selma, Alabama.
If there is any doubt in anybody's mind concerning whether we have a movement here in Chicago, you ought to be in this church tonight. We have some challenging days ahead, some great and noble opportunities to make this beautiful city that sits on the banks of Lake Michigan, the beautiful city of brotherhood that it is called to be.
So Chicago was New York because Chicago had about 6 organizations met once in coordinated Triple CO, coordinated counseling organization. But somehow, even ministers didn't have much interest in that, but they would support generally. They want to give educators, Palmer, Georgia, people that went to Triple CO, want to give ministers something to do. And he got a program from Leon Sullivan. They named it Breadbasket. They got to Atlanta. So we get men to go to a given company, say a milk company, where they had all black, all white drivers and the like demand jobs. We expanded beyond that, but started that way. We met ministers. Because another king said was coming from some of the guys would go to Alabama to meet with him. The president said they don't need you in Chicago. They own the mayor Davis payroll. And they were hostile to Dr. King. Yeah, one minister had a president said Dr. King should go to hell. I mean, all 3 networks, just that. So we put together Reverend Cleveland, Reverend A.P. Jackson, Reverend John Thurston, Reverend Stroy Freeman, and Reverend Blair, and Reverend Sims, and Reverend Collins. We get to meet one of the men's on the seminary. Preparing them for Dr. King's coming. Dr. King came, the Breadbasket program. We had the ministers already organized. The ministers met with the theologians and vice versa. Theologians are happy because their meetings got to have practical church experience. I got to have to do with some of the theological professors at the University of Chicago, so it was a big deal. When we fought for, we took on a country like Milk Company. Usually we defensive. We were somebody call us a nigger or something like that. We react and we fight. We were on offensive. We said, you drive, you instruct, we direct the milk. And we knew that they were hostile, but I also knew the cows couldn't hold that milk for so long.
Because we were their consumers.
And we had consumer power. Voting power was one thing. Consumer power was very bad built on that. So we got them to agree to hire some of the truck drivers. And Mike Wilburn, sports announcer, his dad got one of those jobs. Talked about it all the time. But Mr. Smith came across the street with 360 47th, right?
Mm-hmm. 47.
He came across the street and said,
366 East 47th Street.
We need more than jobs. We have what you guys put down for public conventions. So we wanted to be the construction wing. And he and Bob Martin and more didn't get to build that way. And the first chancellor built by African Americans was built in 366 47th Prairie. Mm-hmm. Dr. King was there and kind of bishop for him. Well, Triple Hill was so big, 600,000 in the school system. It was kind of amorphous, but Breadbasket could kind of touch and feel it. Well, Joe Louis Milk, George John said, we can't get our milk in there.
So George Jones was Joe Louis Milk Company.
That's right.
And then we had Sparkle Wax.
That was Real Bold.
And Grove Fresh Orange Juice.
Stephen Troy.
And Parker House Sausage.
Yeah, Grisham.
And Independence Bank.
That was somewhere between George Johnson and Albert Tate. Okay. The point is that every time we hit a chain store, the truckers won't be a part of it, because if you got you pick up garbage and you get a contract for that, say 5 stores, you get a new truck.
So that was the Scavengers Division.
The Scavengers Division. We built a whole wheel. That's what made it so unique. And so before it even went really public, we were just meeting weekly for breakfast Saturday morning.
Labor will have to redefine what work is. Mrs. Barra, Calvin Morris, though we would not accept it now, even if it were offered to us because of the corruption in the land, for us to be able to pull together 2,000 or 3,000 people once a week to discuss the issues, to try to make men decent, we ought not be able to escape the government paying us to perform this chore. This is work.
Operation Breadbasket is a growing force in America's economics. It is the living definition of black power, rational, non-violent, and pragmatic.
One of the needs from the business people was to expand their growth and development by getting their products on the shelves. And so we had A&P store, we had National Tea, and we were interested in getting their products in those stores on our shelves.
John Johnson.
Our consumers. And John Johnson.
Couldn't get Evan Jenner on.
George Johnson with the hair product.
So what happened was we demanded to get it and get shelf rate. You get it, so you forgot to get out. Mm-hmm. They run sales on Thursday. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make sure that we had advertising best of that. So right. We built, so Larry showed us that a whole dimension of black advertisers and architects and stuff like that.
So Breadbasket grows. In fact, it just went zoom. All right, and we started talking about buy black. And so we started having caravans go to these stores so that they could buy, and we were advertising, save your money at Independence Bank.
And Seaway Bank.
Seaway Bank. And let's go buy product.
Yeah.
Right?
So what happened, people would get a full-page ad in the Defender, a Crusader, and their 6 minute products. Mm-hmm. That became the cheat list in politics. Mm-hmm. People refrigerated, they go, why don't you have those makers? Why don't you have podcast sausage here? We began to expand the business, and they began to contribute in ways they'd never done before. So much so one Dr. King came to Chicago one time to make payroll. He needed $35,000. The black bank in Atlanta couldn't lend it to him because they threatened their license. Why was it? Because they were hostile. He was borrowed from Seaway Bank. Dr. King stopped by Albert Tate's house. Just in a hurry. Please stop by. Charles Escher said to him to stop by. They gave him $55,000. He wept. He'd never seen black businesses do that before. Atlanta had some black businesses, Mr. Yates drugstore, something like that. They're really an investment class before. Right. And these guys, well, they're sometimes in the marketplace.
And Chicago was really the mecca for black business.
It was the mecca, and the first major black business investing in the country.
Mm-hmm. Now, Mickey, one of the things that was very important in Breadbasket was the band and the choir.
Yes.
And Ben Branch had a wonderful band and you were a part of that band. Tell me about the music. Tell me about the band.
Well, I go back to when we had the Chicago Freedom Movement, and we met at New Friendship on 71st and Green, and I was playing then.
You go back that far. This is before Breadbasket?
This was before Breadbasket,
okay.
1965. And the band was a concept, and Reverend Jackson can go into the details about the band and how it came to life. But I got drafted into the Army, so I had to go to military duty. But when I came back from military duty, I really got into the band then.
Was Ben Branch the band director then?
He was the conductor, Wayne Bennett.
Gene Barr.
Mickey and was a part of the choir development.
Right.
Choir. Yeah, sending musician at Fellowship Church.
Right.
And Reverend Evans, he brought in the youth division of the church, became Dolores Scott became of the choir.
Right.
While we moved on at a fairly slow pace, just being on a combo. So the King killed it, everything exploded. People, we changed that. We had some place to go to. Mm-hmm. And I want to walk back to the first part. Any grocery store has 13,000 to 15,000 items. And rather than that, we have to margin profit on. Mm-hmm. Whether it's fruits and vegetables, but there were no black women who would check out clerks at the stores. Mm-hmm. No black produce managers, no black meat managers, no blacks would pick up the garbage. The sludge is sludge if you're on the truck. We don't control to this day a single black community garbage in America. Waste Management is a $20 billion company. Picking up our garbage and turn it into a problem.
So in after Dr. King died, we went to the Parkway Ballroom, and that's where our meetings were held.
Hard times come again no more, the band plays. The Reverend Jesse Jackson, the new radical leader of the blacks, waits to address his supporters about the economic crisis.
I am somebody. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may have been in jail, but I am somebody. I may be unskilled, I may be uneducated, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. I am somebody. We're unique in this country. Nobody knows the trouble we've seen. So much of it's been private. So often we cried to ourselves because we were ashamed to cry in public. Some of our men have been laid off from their jobs, and they've had too much pride to come home and tell their families, I do not have a way to provide any longer. So they've tried to steal, they've tried to rob, even tried to kill. Our Father, deliver unto us with our help an economy that's big enough to embody all your people. Nobody knows the trouble we've seen.
Every Saturday morning, we're meeting 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and then at some point in time, Congressman Dawson had a radio program Saturday morning in the convention meeting.
But in the second war,
it got so hot until business guys said, we'll have rivers at that time. The other was 1 hour radio broadcast became kind of the center of things. What happened when Dr. King did, Wayne Bennett stood about that he came. Some musicians wanted, for example, Serrano wanted to do commercials. So the musician had a reason to come as a business suit,
right,
doing commercials and stuff like that. And then it became known for its rendition of music.
So we did a fusion of music. We had a little gospel, we had a little blues, had a little jazz, and when the musicians would come into town, if they were playing elsewhere, they always came by and joined us. Betty, you were part of the usher board in the early days of Breadbasket, but you were in the choir at Fellowship.
Right.
Okay, now tell me how Breadbasket was organized. Because Breadbasket grew so fast, but there was organization. Tell me about how Breadbasket was organized in the spoke divisions.
It grew into, which we later shortened the name to divisions, but we had an usher board, which had probably 200 members. We had a choir, which was 200, 250 maybe. There was Black Men Moving. There was a teachers division. There was Skills Bank that worked and trained people on jobs, how to get jobs. There was the Visionettes. There were political education classes, which I was one of the teachers. We had political education classes to teach people how to run. Yeah, Alice Gay. It actually started with Reverend Calvin Morris and Evelina Desadier. Started the first political class up over the Concept Ballroom next door to the Capitals. That grew. Leon Davis became the director of political education with Alice, and Alice and Leon put together classes. So there, Frank Watkins taught research, I taught communications, Bobby Jones taught precinct coordinating. We had all of the mechanisms needed to run a campaign. Once you completed those classes, you could run a campaign. And Rudy Clay, who was the first Black state senator in the state of Indiana, attributed his training to the political education classes.
And, and one of the divisions that we had, the Reverend Barrow was in charge of, was
the consumer division.
And the consumer division.
Found that in the ghetto, meat was higher and more rotten.
Now this week, we have a buy-in project at the A&P, not Jewel-T, or sorry, at the A&P buy-in project. And the items that we're going to buy this week is orange, is grape, Grow Fresh orange juice. Now don't come up with sunshine. Grow Fresh. Bring it on up so you can see how it looks. All right, now look at that. I just buy it, you know, because I like to look at the pretty labels. And remember we're talking about Black consciousness. And so when you enter the store, that thing hits you right in the face. You're conscious of Black product. That's all it means. You automatically won't think about Beacon Wax. No, it's maybe very good, but we got to build and keep that dollar in the community. Do you understand?
Well, the reason why they called me the Little Warrior was because the stores that existed, where I visited, I wouldn't let them take me for granted. I said, yeah, you are here, and do you have any Black products? They said, oh no. And I had my list of all Black products. And I said, well, let me look around in your store. How many employees do you have that are African American? None. I said, well, you can't stay here. You can't stay here. You got to go.
Now, you see, I don't want to really fuss at you, but I really want you to know that it's very important to participate in this, and be a part of Operation Breadbasket's philosophy, and quit bragging about how great Reverend Jackson is. Reverend Jackson came out with this idea, and he doesn't become great until you carry it out. Then he's the great Reverend Jackson.
Injustice. That's all this is about. Injustice. And when justice meets injustice, it fights. And they don't just change overnight. You got to beat somebody. You got to kick somebody. You got to take away something in order for them to realize that this is a new day.
They were in shop, probably said 79th Street suburbs.
Red Rooster.
It was cheaper. And the meat was fresher. So we ended up, Black Chicago had the justice of that in reality. We just did comparative shopping.
There was this store here on the south side of Chicago, deep in the black community, that was being terribly exploitative. And people were angry about it, but they weren't sure what to do about it.
In the back meat room, Phil, we found some meat that at least in any objective sense would give cause to wonder about its cleanliness and whether or not it's wholesome. It would raise some questions about it at least.
We shop here, and we are not going to participate in our own oppression, you see. And that's the power, you see. And we use that, whether it was with companies that were not hiring black people, but black people were, in fact, providing the profit margin for those companies. We said we're not going to engage in our own oppression. And we will withdraw our support for you. We saw that, using that as a model for how people in communities can make change where they live if they gather together.
Jesse Jackson's Operation Breadbasket provides free breakfast for the black poor of Chicago. Unemployment among black people is now 9%. Their leaders are afraid it could go up to 15%. To meet the needs of the growing hordes of the poor, the government is making food stamps cheaper to buy. People with no income can buy 40 pounds worth of food for £1. 1 million people are entitled to this relief. Prices are rising faster than incomes. This year, the fall in real wages has been 11%. For the housewife, as for the investor, the evidence of trouble in the economy is carried home daily.
What do you put the recession down to?
Well, it's obvious that America is overextended in an unwinnable war in Vietnam, spending at the rate of nearly $85 billion a year. The American economy being a false economy, built more off of wants and off of needs, really did not have the reservoir to adjust to the war, particularly in that it's more than 5 years old now and is spreading even further.
Are the black communities in America being more seriously hit by the economic circumstances in white?
Oh, indeed. Given the racism in the country, we're the last hired and the first fired. In times of war, the first drafted and the first to die. When the nation proper is underemployed, we are unemployed and then stigmatized for being that way. And we feel the brink of it, and the riots really are nothing but expressions of panic. The only way that the unheard can be heard. And of course, you know, it's a desperation effort, and it attempts to address itself to genocide, but it ends up being suicide. But this confusion is just a manifestation of the deeper confusion in the nation.
In the light of the black community's now much sharper political attitude, do you think that if unemployment were to get very bad this year, they would not put up with it as they have in the past?
I don't think that blacks have the military power in and of ourselves to do anything but get more frustrated. We don't have the military power to bring this country down. But we have a growing mass of young whites who are the sons and daughters of these politicians who sense the immorality in the war, who themselves are tired of seeing their classmates come back home in pine boxes. I see a real significant coalition that is emerging now that's taking on greater depth than ever before. The anti-war movement is not a black movement. It is a movement of people who are dissenting against the unjust policies that our country has set up abroad. And I think that given the rage of the youth, the concern of the blacks, that coalition would be significant enough to make America adjust or bust.
So these divisions grew, and that's the base of our organization even today.
To this very day. Okay, so now we go from Breadbasket, and one of the things that we did under the Breadbasket auspice is we had a fair that was called Black Expo at the amphitheater.
Whatever it was, at first we just wrote all products.
Right.
Chicago to the seminary. because it was which exposed them. They couldn't afford to buy ads in newspaper. So we did crossbreed. So if you sell milk, you sell something, sell bread. Your members buy each other's product. We built like kind that way. So the young people bought orange juice from the grow fresh and all that. We crossbred the economy. It got so big, it had to become a big expo.
So we had Black Expo at the amphitheater, and it was a showcase for Black businesses and small Black businesses. And then we had white businesses like Playboy and car companies come in, and they also showcased. So it was.
But they paid more.
And they paid more, significantly more.
Significantly.
Their margin. Then we had entertainment.
But what they had to do, though, is that we wanted we wanted the market space.
Right.
We wanted the marketplace.
That was our market.
And they began, and actually began to hire Black liaisons of Black community. St. Clair, Booker, Michael Knight, Phillips, those guys that hired. They didn't have liaisons of Black community. There's no go-to person. It's a common thing now, but it was not common at that time. And National Tea was a man named Mr. Stapleton. Norm Stapleton was the president.
The National Tea was a grocer in the Black community primarily.
We've been front of these milk companies. Always checking to end up having to boycott and fight. So he saw us as market, money, talent, location, and growth. He saw us everything. He was a very decent guy. He hired Phillips, he hired St. Clair to be liaisons to Black community. So as we process these businesses in development. Now, the interesting thing about Dr. King focused on the education thing. The rest took fly across the country. Cleveland wanted that. Brooklyn, LA, everybody wanted the breadbasket mission of the word.
And they all came here to Black Expo. Reverend, you know how many people?
Did the orientation, then they go back home and do it at home.
Okay. Now, do you know for Expo, do you know how many people we had in attendance?
Well, we call it Gugobs.
Gugobs. So according to the New York Times, the Gugobs was 1 million people. That's what I Googled. They said
7 days.
1 million people for 7 days. Now, in addition to the businesses that we had, and the white businesses and the Black businesses, we had a cultural division. I know a little bit about that. And we had entertainment in the evening.
Well, after Dr. King had died, we wanted to make a statement. Chris Jones was one day meeting at Johnson Public Football College. I want to meet Jesse Jackson. Chris came to meet me. Jerry Butler, we began to organize and that. So that at the end of the day, Motown would bring its review. Alabama brings their review. And they came in. We have a movie, Save the Children.
I am somebody. I am God's child. What time is it? Brothers and sisters, tonight, all of Expo is on film. We got Black film crewmen. We got Black film producers. And just as we can produce Shad and Superfly, we can produce Push Black Expo so Black folk all over the world can see us at our very best.
The place was Chicago, but it could have been anywhere. They came together this year as they have in years of the past and will in years to come. They came together from the corners of the world, the corners of the nation, the corners of the cities, the corners of the streets. Over 1 million Black people in search of self-determination, political unity, and economic stability. They found great displays of hundreds of businesses and organizations serving and benefiting the Black people of the world. They found leading politicians, clergymen, educators, publishers, scientists, and men and women representing every conceivable field of human endeavor. They found the most outstanding collection of black art and sculpture ever assembled, and the greatest array of performing talent ever to represent the broad black musical spectrum. They found them and they found themselves, all united to raise their voices for a better life on earth.
Raise your voices high!
Some came in spite of serious illness, others came with the courage to face certain hostility, but they all came with a single purpose, to make the world better for future generations. What follows is what happened during the 5 special days and nights of 1 year's Push Expo, as interpreted through the lyrics and performances of many of the entertainers who, as black people, felt morally committed to appear. The place was Chicago. It could have been anywhere. Anywhere that people could come together to
save the children.
All my life, America has always taught me to raise the children and save America. And now we're talking about raising America and saving the children.
God can save the children. Can I get a witness here?
But we must save the children.
Save the children.
Because if we save the children, we will save them for the years to come.
We must save the children. From the drug-oriented society of today, we must
save the children. Save the babies.
Because we're expecting the children to save us all.
Save the children.
There's a difference between raising kids and saving kids.
Save the children.
Save the babies.
Save the children.
We've come together. Who's gonna save the children? Black Republicans, black Democrats, black educators, black entertainers, black businessmen, black people. Harambe gonna save the children.
I just want to ask a question. Who really cares? Save a world in despair. Who really cares? There'll come a time when the world won't be singing. Flowers won't grow. No, people know. And I know bells won't be ringing. Oh, who really cares? Who's willing to try? Oh, yeah, to save a world that is destined to die. Oh. When I look at the world, well, it fills me with sorrow. Children today, oh Heavenly Father, gonna suffer tomorrow. Oh, oh, willing to try. To save the world, to save our sweet world, to save the babies, save our sweet world. Help somebody save the world, save the world, save the babies, save the kids, save the children, yeah. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Oh, we're just children of God. Everybody.
A little gospel now. I like my gospel.
We're going to come back for part 2. Now, this is the real, absolute, show enough history.
Right.
From the horse's mouth. We were there, we know,
Right.
we done it, and we're going to do it again. I'm Hermene Hartman. Thank you. We'll see you soon.